I'm Anthony Elmore, President and founder of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association. We are not only the Black Buddhist force in America, we are the Black Buddhist force in the world. And today we bring you another exciting Black Buddhist lecture. My lecture today is Buddhism, the meaning of soul. Or those of us who understand soul, I want you to try to find the meaning of soul. See, when you Google or look in the dictionary, the word soul does not exist in the way of which we understand soul. Any African American who understands or who has a feeling of the culture and the history of African Americans understand the meaning of soul. Now, however, this has not been written down in our dictionaries. Now, but it is us at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association who can actually tell you the meaning of soul. So we are clear. We who are Proud Black Buddhists, the only Buddhist teachings that we practice is that of the Lotus Sutra. Now, the reason we want you to understand that is that the Buddhism we see today that basically comes from Asians and some white people, that is not the Buddhism of the Lotus Sutra. That is not the highest teachings of the Buddha. The highest teachings of the Buddha is only the Lotus Sutra, and that is the only Buddhist practice that we have, or that we share and practice as the Proud Black Buddhists. Now, while soul does not have a material existence, it is a phenomena that manifests as a true or living entity. See, let me explain soul. See, soul is an entity. Let me first give you the meaning of the word entity. See, entity. An entity is something that exists as itself, as a subject or an object, actually or potentially, concretely or abstractly, physically or not. It need not be of material existence. See, the definition explains that it need not to be of a material existence. See, it is the Lotus Sutra that explains that all phenomena goes through, in the Japanese words, Joju, A, and Ku, or they go through birth, growth, maturity, and death. And the world is cyclic and not static, and all things of the universe is moving, and all things in the universe is changing. Now, what you have, or what happened in America, you had the birth of an entity called soul. Now, this is what the Lotus Sutra explains. All phenomena is Myoho Renge Kyo, or the 3,000 worlds in a momentary state of existence. See, we dealt earlier with the word or concept of entity, or the entity of soul. Now, the Lotus Sutra says that only Buddhas understand the entity of all phenomena. Now, what is this entity called soul? One thing that we black people understand is soul. Just ask any black person, do they know what is soul? They understand soul, but we cannot put soul in words because soul is a spiritual entity. Now, one thing, let us put this in a common, not so theoretical terms. President Obama explained soul and explained Aretha Franklin in a tweet, and this is what President Obama and Michelle Obama tweeted. Quote, Aretha helped define the American experience, her voice. We could feel our history, all of it, in every shade, our power, our pain, our darkness, our light, our quest for redemption, and our hard-won respect. She helped us feel more connected to each other, more hopeful, more human. And sometimes she helped us just forget about everything else and dance, unquote. You see, what President Obama explains in his tweet is the essence of soul in Aretha Franklin. See, President Obama explains in a general sense what the Lotus Sutra explains in a specific sense. Now, the Lotus Sutra explains that all phenomena via the realm of the law of cause and effect. See, when President Obama mentions the American experience, pain, history, quest for redemption, hard, warm respect, our being connected, all of this simply is the law of a cause and effect manifestation. You see, this is how Nietzsche explains it in The Ghost Show. Now, The Ghost Show is called The Entity of the Mystic Law. And it reads, the mystic principle, the essential nature of phenomena, possess two aspects, the defiled aspect and the pure aspect. If the defiled aspect is operative, this is called delusion. If the pure aspect is operative, this is called enlightenment. Enlightenment constitutes the realm of Buddhahood. Delusion constitutes the realm of ordinary mortals. Let me explain my definition of soul via my understanding of the Buddhist religion and how Buddhism or how the Lotus Sutra explains things. You see, soul is a unique manifestation of a spiritual entity expressed physically via a black cultural characteristic. You see, the expedient means chapter of the Lotus Sutra explains the 10 aspects as we mentioned earlier. Real quickly, they are an appearance, a nature, an entity, a power, an influence, an inherent cause, a relationship, a latent effect, a manifest effect, and it's all consistent from beginning to end. You see, the Lotus Sutra explains there is a term called Shiki Shin Funi in Japanese. Now, this means the oneness of mind and body, or subject and object, or the physical and the spiritual. You see, the oneness of mind and body, this is a non-duality of body and mind. The principle that seemingly distinct phenomena of body or the physical aspect of life and mind or its spiritual aspect are essentially non-dual, being two integral phases of a single entity. You see, in the Buddhist teachings, we learn that the mind and the body are one, but there are not separate entities like, say, a ghost. You see, even if there's a ghost or what have you, it can only manifest through a physical entity. You see, the Lotus Sutra explains that Aretha Franklin became the Queen of Soul via an explanation we call Yo-Ho Renge Kyo. That is the title of Lotus Sutra, or the 3,000 realms in a momentary state of existence. You see, in a specific sense, see, the past, the present, and the future exist in a momentary state of existence. See, the Lotus Sutra explains what we are today is the result of something we did in the past. And what we are going to be in the future is the result of what we do today. You see, the Lotus Sutra explains that all phenomena is moving and not static, and that all phenomena is going through phases of birth, growth, maturity, and death. Now, let us first explain the birth of soul, or the birth of soul music. See, soul music is a child of the 60s, And it is the music that was associated with black culture and black self-identity. You see, the 60s was an age, and that was an age that I grew up as a kid. It was the age of black enlightenment and black self-identity. You see, soul music reflected the African-American identity, and it stressed the importance of an African-American culture. The newfound of African-American consciousness led to new styles of music which boasted pride of being black. You see, our definition of soul, we say that soul is a unique manifestation of a spiritual entity expressed via a black cultural characteristic. See, via the black conscious movement, soul emerged in America. See, soul was a reflection of black pride and culture. This takes us back to the 10 aspects. Appearance. See, soul was born in period. Now, it had a nature which was, it was black pride and culture. And number 3, it was an entity. The entity was soul, a spiritual entity. Now, it had what? A power, which it gave us a sense of pride, and black power, and an influence. It was a new culture. And number 6, there was an inherent cause. There was freedom, justice, and equality. And 7, it had a relationship. That's an American integration. And 8, there was a latent effect, the growth and development of American culture and history. And the 9 had a manifest effect. Now, all of this is consistent from beginning to end. You see, ladies and gentlemen, again, soul is a unique manifestation of a spiritual entity expressed physically via a black cultural characteristic. Let me be clear. Soul is a black cultural characteristic. It is not a black racial characteristic. You don't have to be black to express soul, because soul is a cultural characteristic. Now, let me move to my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee. It was a white man by the name of Sam Phillips. He would always say, he started a recording studio right in Memphis, right down the street from my hometown. It's called Sun Recording Studios. And this white man was from Alabama. And he would always say, quote, if I could find a white man who had the Negro sound and the Negro feel, I could make $1 billion. Phillips used to say this over and over. Now, what that white man found in 1954 was a 19-year-old white man by the name of Elvis Everett Presley, who grew up in Tupelo, Mississippi, who later moved to Memphis, who grew up listening to the black music of the man by the name of Big Arthur Kodak from Money, Mississippi. Elvis Presley used to listen to the sounds of Big Arthur Kodak, and Elvis Presley re-recorded Arthur Kodak's song that was recorded in 1946. Elvis in 1954 re-recorded the Black Man's song, and he did a song called That's All Right Mama. Now, the entity that we call soul did not emerge until the 1960s. You see, America was a segregated society, whereas black people were saddled with disadvantages. See, in the South, blacks were still picking cotton. Now, let us go back to the 10 aspects: appearance, nature, entity, power, influence, inherent cause, latent effect, relationship, manifest effect, consistency from beginning to end. There was a white man by the name of Jerry Wexler. Now, he was a partner in Atlantic Records. Jerry Wexler was a Jewish writer who went to one of them big Ivy League schools, and he was actually a writer for Billboard magazine. See, in 1949, Jerry Wexler did something. He changed the name of the image of black music, or how it's received. See, in 1949, on the Billboard charts, black music was called race music. And it was the Jewish man, Jerry Wexler, who coined the title rhythm and blues. You see, this is how rhythm and blues came about, because instead of calling it race music, he changed it to a more friendly term and called it rhythm and blues. Now, about the same time as they changed it from rhythm and blues, you see, all of the white kids was into this black music. There was a white man out of Ohio. Now,
hello, everybody.
This white man out of Ohio came up with the term rock and roll. You see, the term rock and roll was a friendly term they used to get white kids to accept black music, and they called it rock and roll. There was a white man by the name of Alan Freed. Alan Freed would have a show called the Moondog Show. I think it was in Columbus, Ohio, and every night he would play this black music after the white music was played, and the white kids would listen to this music, and they would go to this guy's radio record shop and buy these black records because the white kids was into this black music. See, all of America's original music was created by black people. All of the popular music. See, the first original music in America was the Negro spirituals. And after that, there was blues, jazz, soul, and rock and roll. All of this come from black people. All the popular dance and all of America's popular forms of music and dance were created by black people. Now, the Ghost Show, or the writings of Nichiren Shonin, called the sacred teachings of the Buddha reads, quote, with regard to the word kyo, profound meaning says, quote, the voice carries out the work of the Buddha, and it is called kyo or sutra. See, let me especially explain this to black Buddhists. Racist whites, white supremacy, and the evil human spirit allowed bad causes and hurt to emerge. Black culture, its music, and its people were hated and considered despicable. It was the soul that not only touched the hearts of millions of people worldwide. America's first original music was Negro spirituals. Africans who came to Americans as slaves. They took away the language, they took away the history, they took away the culture. And people had to dig down within themselves to find a culture, to find a history. Now they were allowed to sing religious songs, and out of their heart came soul, came the music of America's first original music. This first original music that later became soul music went all around the world.